Hello everyone, just Goran here and welcome back to Building the Beekse Bergen, and today we are just going to have a look at the finished Okapi area that we started last episode. I did record some progress update clips like we have been doing the past few episodes, but I didn't find them to be very interesting since they mostly boiled down to I put down some plants. So instead I thought we'd just walk around the area and call it a half episode. So without any further ado, let's go right up to the first bit of habitat, which is the first glimpse you get from the Okapi habitats when you are leaving the Red Panda area. And this is what that roughly looks like in real life. So you've got these piles of sand, a lot of grass. This habitat is actually pretty lush in that sense. In real life it is a bit more like dried up grass, but we don't really have anything that can convey that too well. So I just went with a pretty lush habitat, which looks really good. I might have overdone it just a little bit, but I don't know, it looks pretty good. So let's just keep going along. Right here we get to the things that we built in the past few episodes, like the old Red Panda habitat, and the little adventure trail over there that people do use. If we just have a little look back here, you'll see that I have started to plan this forest a bit more. This is something that we will be continuing on in the future, maybe on a stream, I'm not quite sure yet, but this is all just backstage area, so I don't want to put too much detail in it because it's going to take up a lot of performance, while a lot of people aren't even gonna really be able to see it. So yeah, let's just keep going. Over here we have a bit of nature on the side, but yeah, over here we have the first viewing area for the same Okapi habitat that we saw just now. So walking up over here, the way this was built was just by taking a reference photo, this one to be exact, and you can see it's a panorama photo, so when you view those in Google Photos, it lets you kind of look around, which allowed me to really go in on the details and really see, like, okay, so we've got this tree over here, a little pond, smaller trees, pile of branches, the gate over there. And yeah, when you look in game, you can see some of those same elements. So we got that pile of branches, the pond, the smaller tree, and yeah, all sorts of stuff. Fence gate over there. So yeah, pretty happy with this. It's a little bit, maybe a bit too lush. I might trim down the foliage at some point if I ever feel like it, but for now I think it's a pretty nice habitat. So let's move on. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention. I did end up using the scratching trees here and there. So hopefully, I haven't seen them use them yet, but hopefully one time you might actually spot an Okapi scratching himself on the tree, which would be pretty cool to see. So yeah, moving on, we get to the Okapi Stall that we built in the last episode, and the only thing that really changed here is the addition of all of these trees and foliage around. It has become a bit full. The trees are a lot thicker than the trees that are here in real life, so that makes it a bit too crowded in my opinion, but there isn't really much I can do about that. You'll see in a bit what it looks in real life. I just want to have a quick look inside here because I added all of the pathing. Went to a couple of iterations for that, like I used to have a path going over here as well, but the more path there was, the more people decided to go from path to path, walking through walls. So to prevent that, I took out this path over here, and we just have one path going in here through the stall, and people actually come inside here to look at the animals, which is pretty nice. And yeah, they can leave over here, and there's another path, just bring them back to the main path. I'm saying path a lot, but yeah, that's kind of how that is set up now. So yeah, before, when I still had a path over here, people would kind of walk through this wall, which I didn't really like, which is why I changed everything around. They do occasionally still walk through this wall, and okay. So yeah, people do occasionally walk through this wall, but overall it looks fine, and it's the best we can do with such small doorways. Granted, people are gonna kind of mess that up with the way that the pathing works. So yeah, if we come over here, I've got another nice little reference photo for you. Let's actually get the sun in kind of a similar spot, something like that, I think. And yeah, you can see what I meant by that in real life it's not as full. The trees are a lot thinner and more spaced out, but yeah, combination of the scaling we're working at and the fact that the trees in game are just a bit thick, makes it look that much more crowded. So I don't think there's too much I can do about that, sadly. But yeah, if we just turn around over here, and I'm actually gonna pick a different photo, we can see that little garden or nature area, and it's pretty barren. Even in summer there isn't a lot going on here. I think it's mostly a bird area. You can see there's some bird feeders in these small little trees. That's not really something I have been able to replicate, sadly, but if we do look in game, we'll see that same barren kind of field with a couple of plants added. One I particularly liked, if we just kind of zoom in, it's kind of hard to notice, but it's a nice little detail. I used the upside down common water lily, and the roots of it have kind of the exact right color to just look like a bit of faded, kind of dead grass. So that's actually very nice. And yeah, there's a little pond over there. And I really like that when comparing to the real life version, like the sunlight hits that pond in a very similar way, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, turning around, we get to the other Okapi habitat, and compared to the first one, this one is actually a lot more barren, and I don't know if that's because of the animals or because of the sun. Maybe the ground is just a lot drier. I don't know what causes it, but yeah, the other habitat is a lot more lush, while this one is pretty barren. So we do have some strands of grass. Again, also using upside down common water lilies as well as the other type of water lilies we have. And also trying to get some extra detail in by placing down the roots from the South America DLC to look like little branches and stuff like that lying on the ground. Another noteworthy thing is that, again, we use the scratching tree. I think this one is that. And also there is a tamarind tree and an acacia tree back there. I was looking at the reference photo, and I noticed those same kinds of leaves, and even the orange, I don't know if they're flowers or berries or whatever, but yeah, those looked very similar to this one, and I think it is actually simply the same tree. So that one's actually very nice. It looks very similar, so it was a cool little addition. And yeah, for the rest, this habitat was made very similarly, just looking at the reference photo going, oh yeah, there's some logs, some rocks, some branches, some trees, and a big hole with some reeds, and a little feeder there. And then in the game you can go, oh yeah, logs, rocks, branches, trees, reeds, feeder, and so on. So yeah, not really too much else to talk about, which is why this is kind of that half episode. There isn't that much going on here other than just look at all the plants. So yeah, just looking back here, you can see that little viewing area, and I have a reference photo for that as well. So you can see the two education signs, and in real life it's a bit longer. It's also a lot slimmer with the bamboo, but yeah, again, limited by the space and also the game. This is kind of the smallest bit of bamboo that we have, so I had to make do with that. And but it ended up looking pretty good, I think. So let's just keep going over here. And you can see in real life there is just a little bit of a hill there, and there's a bit of a shortcut people take instead of walking around it. So yeah, we tried to replicate that over here as well. You got that little shortcut over here and the way around it with all the trees in the middle. And over here we've got another little bee education spot. So you've got the bee hotel, a little bench, and this little education thing where you have a bunch of kind of cylinders that you can pull out and receive some information about bees and stuff like that. So yeah, a lovely little area, and with that we get to the end. And this is what we will be working on now. We actually have this little staff door over here on this side, which you can see again over here. And on the other side there's also going to be a staff path that kind of connects up with the car safari. I'll show you from above in a bit. And yeah, here we're going to get the hyenas and the lions. And after that, the walking safari connects back up with the toilet building at the second primate house. So let's have a quick look from above so you can see where we are. So yeah, that's where that path is going to connect up. And what's also pretty cool about that staff path over here, it actually connects up with the car safari. And that's how the hippo building, for example, and all of these pretty much all of this backstage area is accessible by car by just taking the car safari, and yeah, you take a turn over there through that little staff road, and then you get into this backstage area, which yeah, is in that little forest that we showed at the beginning. So a couple more things to show. This backstage area, not finished quite yet. I really want to focus on finishing the walking route first before we get to all of these backstage areas. But what was pretty nice is that throughout building this, I came across a YouTube video. It was recommended to me actually, so I was very lucky. That showed, the video was about the addax, which roam this little section of the car safari. And I thought, hey, who knows, maybe this video will actually show this little holding area. And it did really well, which was nice, because at first I had a much more diagonal fence over here. But the video showed that, yeah, it was more this sort of shape. So I was able to kind of correct all of that. And now that is all accurate, and we don't have to change it in the future. So that's pretty nice. Another thing that video showed me, as well as another video, was that over here is actually a window. So I was able to put that in. I didn't really make a functional window. I just stuck one on there because the inside of this is not detailed in any way because of how small it is. So yeah, that is pretty much everything. So I'm sure you understand why we only did a half episode. The other reason being that I'm going to be away next week. I'm going to have my wisdom teeth pulled, so I just want to get a video out before then. So here you go. I hope you still enjoyed, and I will be seeing you in the next episode of Building the Beekse Bergen. I'm also planning to go live probably today or tomorrow. I'm sorry I can't give a specific day, but it really kind of depends on some factors. I also want to apologize for not streaming for like the past month. There have been some things going on in my life that have kind of made me not feel like streaming. But we'll talk about that on stream probably. So yeah, if you feel like hanging out, just keep an eye out on my channel for when I go live. I also tend to post on Twitter when I'm planning to do live streams, so make sure to follow me on there. My channel is not big enough to do like channel announcement things. I would use those to announce streams, but yeah, I don't have access to them, so I can't. Anyway, time to stop rambling. I'm just gonna wrap things up over here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video or stream or whatever you decide to watch first. So bye bye!